but Allah, there is no guide for them. I bear witness that there is no God, there is no deity worthy of worship except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is his servant and messenger. O you who believe, revere Allah as Allah alone should be revered, and die not except as Muslims. Amma ba'd. I would ask you, if you would, please to silence your cell phones, please. Maybe if you are able to immerse yourself in that one I, and that is the fitra I that I'm talking about, which is your essence, forgetting the qualities which you attribute to yourself or are attributed to you by others, forgetting your considerations and your thoughts, if you can see yourself within that single identity, being the you within you, incomparable, not related to anything else within or without you, then you will be one in whom unity is manifested to the extent that it is possible in a created being. And I'm reminded that Jose talked last week about how unique we are in the sense that none of us have the same fingerprint. In fact, none of us have the same voice. Now, security are using voice recognition because not one human has the same voice as another. You may think you sound like somebody else, but in fact your voice is clearly detectable by man-made machines, different from any other person in the universe. From the root Aleph Ha Dal, which has the following classical Arabic connotation: to be one, to be the only one, one alone, soul, to unite, unified. The name is used in the Quran, and we looked at a lot of verses last week, and the most famous being Ikhlas, Surah 112. The meaning of the name Al-Ahad is essentially the same as Al-Waahid, the only difference being the emphasis here on the attribute of oneness. It can be said that Allah is one in Allah's entity, attributes and acts. Alone is Allah's oneness. For the one who knows that Allah is alone, the cosmos will no longer receive a share of being or even non-being. Instead, it will be, as the author of the aphorism said, permanent, thabita, through Allah making it so and effaced by the unity of Allah's entity. Ibn Ata'ala al-Sakandari also said the ray of light of spiritual vision, basira, makes one witness Allah's nearness to one, while the eye of spiritual vision makes one witness one's non-being due to Allah's being. The spiritual vision of truth makes one witness Allah's being, not one's non-being of one's being. Indeed, Allah was, and there was nothing alongside of Allah, and Allah is now as Allah always was. And how do I connect with Al-Ahad? Once you connect with this name by forgetting everything through Allah's remembrance and forsaking all affairs except Allah's affair, and by never seeking to ascend to any other besides Allah. And when I talk about this, I always get met with someone that will say to me, that's impossible, Imam Sykes. Someone will always come to me, there's no way, we're just humans, we're not the messengers, we're not Abu Bakr, we're not so-and-so and so-and-so. All you have to do to make this a living reality in your life is Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. That no matter what you begin, all you have to do to change it from secular to spiritual is remember Allah when you're doing it. And begin it in the name of Allah. Cultivation of this name in one's character. One should cultivate this name in their character by isolating oneself in their worship and subservience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, withdrawing from your peers and fellow servants as it accords with one's state. Actually, I deem by Allah that the more you get closer to Allah, the more that you absolutely will need time alone. You will need to seclude yourself, as did all of the prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There were times of seclusion. There was 40 days in the desert. There was time in the cave. How can you really get to know yourself if you're always talking to someone else? So it's very important, if you want to cultivate this in your character and this understanding, to know yourself is to know Allah, is to really spend time contemplating, reflecting on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and how you are serving Allah. One will realize this name when one is so immersed in witnessing oneness that one no longer has a sense of duality. To ponder and reflect and contemplate on that state, that maqamat, that station, whereby we would be so immersed in witnessing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in everything that we see, then that would be unity. But so often we forget. And it's almost as if we are in a split world. Some moments we're in the spiritual world, and some moments we're in that world where we are just satisfying our desires, our nafs. Sometimes we are in the dunya, the world, as low as it goes, and for moments in time, inshallah, we experience the celestial moments, where we are so touched by the kalam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we are driven to tears, that our heart is driven to quiver in awe of the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The name Al-Waahid means that one in the many. Whatever we look at in the world around us in actual part is actually part of Al-Waahid. We experience Al-Waahid when we feel a special oneness with people and things around us. The name Al-Ahad means the one. Nothing else exists besides Allah. And when we try to take in the wholeness of Allah, we are reaching out for Al-Ahad. Allah has no boundaries and no limits. So we can never really take in Al-Ahad. What are the signs of Al-Waahid and Al-Ahad? Seeing Al-Waahid is like being on the surface of the ocean and noticing how all the different waves are actually part of one sea. Al-Ahad, on the other hand, is being in the depths of the ocean where there are no waves and feeling only the immense oneness all around you. The Quran asks us to consider the fig and the olive. If you open the fig, you will find lots of seed, the one containing many seeds. If you open an olive, you will find just one seed. The one contains just one. Allah is like both. In Surah Al-Ikhlas, say Allah is the one God, God the satisfier of all needs. Allah does not bear children, nor was Allah born, and Allah is beyond compare. Rumi says, listen, O drop, give yourself up without regret, and in exchange gain the ocean. Listen, O drop, bestow upon yourself this honor, and in the arms of the sea be secure. Who indeed should be so fortunate, an ocean wooing a drop? In God's name, sell and buy at once. Give a drop and take this sea full of pearls. I wanted, before we go into the reflection and before we stop and pray today, to read a beautiful poem to you about these names and attributes, inshallah. Ya Ahad, Ya Waahid, Ya Sami, Ya Wadud. O you who hear and understand all tongues, forgive us for all the moments of misspeaking, for taking another's name in vain, for riling defenses. You have told us to speak only with the most beautiful urgings. From the depths of our souls, we long to communicate with you within each other, for you are nowhere absent. We know this to be true when our hearts are awake, for I am with you. Ever-present source of our own meaning, how can we deny or turn away from anyone who holds your precious essence? When we are shy or disgruntled, help us to forget the self that would separate, for in you we know oneness. Ya Ahad, the only one, Al-Waahid. You who join us all in oneness. Al-Wajud, Al-Kareem, the most generous bestower of being. We belong to you, for we are of you, and to you we shall return. In every moment, with every breath passing through these hearts, you keep filling with love, Ya Wadud, even as light fills the sky. At dawn and darkness vanishes. There are no corners to your loving. Wash us clear with your love. To Ahad, you who join us all in oneness, Ya Waahid, the only one, Ya Wadud, O infinitely loving one, Ya Sami, O hearing one, you who understand all tongues, to Samad, ever-present and eternal source, Al-Wajud, Al-Kareem, the most generous bestower of being, Ya Qudus, O most holy and pure. Say, He is Allah, the one God, the eternal source of subsistence. Say, I am but a man like yourselves. The revelation has come to me that your God is the only God, the one. And so whoever looks forward to meeting his sustainer or her sustainer, let him or her do rightful deeds of wholesomeness and reconciliation, and let him or her not ascribe unto anyone or anything a share in the worship due to his or her sustainer. Say, I am only a warner, and there is no deity whatever but God, the one who irresistibly holds sway over all that exists, the sustainer of the heavens and the earth and all that is between them, the Almighty, the all-forgiving. And anyone who honors the symbols set up by Allah, truly these derive their value from the God consciousness within the heart. And in that God consciousness you shall find benefits until a determined time is fulfilled. And its goal and end is the most ancient temple. And always bear in mind your God is the one and only God. And so surrender yourself to Allah. And give the glad tidings of Allah's acceptance to all who are humble. All those whose hearts tremble with awe whenever Allah is mentioned. And all who patiently bear whatever ill befalls them. And all who are consistent in prayer and spend on others out of sustenance. We have provided for them. And your God is the only one. There is no divinity but Allah, who is the infinitely compassionate, the infinitely merciful. Invite to the way of your sustainer with wisdom and beautiful urging. Witness your sustainer inspired the angels to convey his or her message to the faithful, I am with you. Ask forgiveness of your sustainer and turn to Allah, for truly my sustainer is infinitely merciful and infinitely loving. So may Allah make us to connect with these great names. May Allah help us to realize and materialize in our life an awareness of these names in such a way that we will live in unity with Allah, that we would serve Allah and only Allah, that we would annihilate the self, that we would rid ourselves of the ego and turn that ego into something that only does what Allah would desire. I love you all for the sake of Allah. We're going to pause now. The prayer comes in at 12:09. So we will pray the prayer and come back and have discussion.